Welcome back to Brush Up Your Game, and today a re-review of Wave 15's U.S.S. Prometheus. This ship has been revamped, redesigned, rethought in, I think it was Ships of the Line. It's at least at the time of this recording, the newest Federation expansion pack, but the old tells us where we came from, and there's always a reason to look at it. This version of U.S.S. Prometheus, double crew, double weapon, double tech, and I mean, great slot loadout there. I personally really enjoy it. A 5145, little low on the whole, but great, great shields, great durability. Lots of stuff you can do there. Make it heavier on shields with reinforced shielding. You can add reinforced hull to it if you want. Make it super durable. That's going to depend on mission specs. You can bring in photon torpedoes. You're rolling 6 dice. You can do a lot to make this ship really cool. But the action here is also interesting. Yeah, let's talk about it. Action: if you performed a straight maneuver this round, immediately perform an additional 1 or 2 straight maneuver. I consider this mission specific mostly, but there are uses when you're in combat and you're trying to gauge what your opponent's going to do. So you might do like a 2 straight or 3 straight, see where they're at, and then say, okay, now I need to do that little extra jump, because a 2 straight's definitely going to let you jump over a ship. It has its limits, but I think there's good variety. If this ship had gotten a reprint, I think we all would have been happy. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy the new version of Prometheus. But I think this one gives us nice maneuver options. I think it's a really cool piece depending on the scenario you're running. And I like it. I think it's worthwhile, and any ship with double tech is going to have a nice role. Maneuver dial here is great. I love the 6 white straight. A 1 straight's always a nice thing. 3 turns. The 1 reverse comes in handy. There's a reason I chose the Prometheus class over the Sovereign class for my Alliance playthrough. I like slot loadout better than Sovereign. I like the maneuver dial just a tiny bit better than Sovereign. It's a toss-up, really, though. They're both great ships. This version of the generic is crew, double weapon, double tech. It depends on what you need. There's times, if you want to go heavy weapons, you certainly can. This is a great ship for Type 10 phasers, for the double photon torpedoes. You can run it that way. You can run a few different things. You could run disruptor sweep photons and have a good day. It's really tough to go wrong with this ship, and I like it. It's anything with 5 dice that can reliably run photons is going to do a nice thing for you. Captain Rakar. Now, Romulan Captain, yeah, I know, right? But thematic to the Voyager episode. So, you know, gotta roll with it. Now, Rakar's been reprinted as a skill 7 captain, and yes, he did deserve that. But this version of Rakar, when attacking with a secondary weapon, you may add +1 attack die to the attack. If you do so, discard that weapon upgrade after the attack's complete. He works very situationally, and that situation is specific to weapons that you are already going to discard. So things like, torpedo fusillade, that would come into play. There's a Dominion photon torpedo that will discard after you use it. You could run this on transphasics. You could run this on a few things where that one little extra attack die is good. Also, it's a discard, so there's ways to save it, bring it back. Now, Rakar's not great. Lack of a talent slot, only getting a single extra die. No quality there. I don't value him very highly, but he plays a slight role. Also, anything on Romulans that you're bringing in with triphasic emitters, where you're already going to discard the weapon after you use it, you might as well get one extra attack die. He pairs very nicely with Triphasic Emitters, and I think you got to look at that card and say, hey, Rakar, that's my captain. The Doctor, if you haven't watched me and Tony play Deadlock, the mission that came with the Vidian ship, the Doctor gets used in a very fun way. But skill 2 captain, 1 point, no talent slot. At the start of the combat phase, you may attempt to increase your skill number. If you do so, you roll an attack die, hit crit, you go up to 10. Otherwise, you become skill 0. Either way, you take an Ox Power token. There's some fun things you can do there. Little unexpected twist. If you jump captain skill, then you're superseding the order. You get to shoot first, typically. And I think there's some intrigue there. The Doctor's not a bad 1 point captain, just to try your luck. And if you'd fail, you're not really losing anything other than taking an Ox Power token. But sometimes that's not terrible. You're telegraphing your move a little bit. I don't hate him. For a 1 point card, he's definitely one of the better 1 point captains in the game. He's not going to win you the game, but he's also not going to lose you the game. And I like him for that. All right. Multi-vector assault mode. This version almost pains me to talk about, but I'm so glad we have a better version. This is 8 dice for 8 points. Action, you take a multi-vector assault mode token, place beside your ship, can't perform any free actions this round. And that was the killer, is you just got to roll this set of dice. You got to do this action. Can't get anything else. And you have to have a target lock. You disable this card, spin the target lock, spin your multi-vector assault mode token, and then you can fire this weapon 360. But range 1 only. So, yeah, just the lack of being able to take free actions. Now, if you have a way to place the token, it could work. But those are so tough to actually account for. I guess if you have built-in quality that's going to work, I think the best thing I could ever say is if you're dead set on running this, bring in Tactical Officer from Alliance, because at least then you can disable that card to get a reroll of dice. But, tough combo. Glad that the new multi-vector assault mode works better. I'm not going to say it works perfect, but it works better. Photon torpedoes, these just give an extra die for Prometheus. Don't worry about those. Run new photons. They're better. Ablative hull armor, 7 points to convert crits back to hits, and then it soaks up 3 damage. It's not worth it. New one's better. Again, and it can only go on a Prometheus class ship. Thematic, don't get me wrong. But, true thematicism would have been Prometheus class or Defiant class. But, Then we have a tactical prototype. For 4 points, you can disable this card to perform an evade, scan, or battle station action while you have an Ox Power token. Your ship has to have the appropriate action on its action bar to use this ability. Can't perform any free actions during the round in which you use the ability. I like the concept. I like being able to do a small set of actions while under Ox Power. There's some cards that ran with this idea. I think it's cool. But from a prototype standpoint, time tokens make more sense on an ability like this. 4 points also seems a little excessive. Feels like it's something more built in to the ship. I would have argued for more like a 2 or a 3, and yeah, I find the ability's fine, but the execution just doesn't seem to work because it's kind of like whatever, and I don't find myself wanting to use it, ever using it. Typically, it's more ways to mitigate that Ox Power token. And I think it's also the tech's really tough to find ways to re-enable or prevent the disable. Regenerative shielding is another 4-point tech. You can disable this card to repair one of your shields. Yay! Needed to be time tokens, and I think it became time tokens in the reprint. So that much was nice. Yeah, as a 4-point card, it's not worth an action to repair a shield because that's just an evade token if I'm getting shot. And if I'm not getting shot, then I'd rather have Alliance's operations officer. Granted, tech maybe more than crew, but at least then I have evade and I can make better use of evade. And then we have Romulan Hijackers. While this card is assigned to your ship, you can only have a Romulan captain and Romulan crew assigned to your ship. All of your non-Borg tech and weapon upgrades cost 1 less. Didn't say Romulan, just non-Borg. In addition, if this card is assigned to a non-Romulan ship, you don't pay a faction penalty for any of your Romulan upgrades, including this one. When attacking with your primary weapon, if your ship's not within range 1 to 3 of any other friendly ships during the roll attack die step, you may disable this card to gain +1 attack die. See, I like all of this. It felt super thematic. The last part, made disable. Didn't need to be disabled, just static ability. Just, if you're not within range 1 to 3 of any of your other friendly ships, roll +1 attack die. Just sail on. Version of the Lone Hunt. Working that way. And I think it works great. Essentially this is a way to bring other ships into the Romulan fold. Does it make that much sense? No, not particularly. It makes thematic sense on Prometheus. That much does make sense to me. But aside from that, I don't know. It's not a card I really see run or that I've run. And it's because I'll just suck up the faction penalties. And typically I want more than a Romulan captain and Romulan crew because Romulan captains aren't amazing. Romulan crew are fine, but not great. And I want to mix my crew. The EMH Mark II, we've talked about doctors and stuff on a full rankum, but this is a 5-point crew or tech, your choice. Depends on your needs or your philosophical views. Action, discard this card, target a ship at range 1, disable all crew upgrades on the target ship. I personally like that you can actually go and be offensive with a EMH. That's kind of cool, rather than being like healing your own stuff, actually go and disable other people's stuff. But way too expensive, way too limited range. Just doesn't work great for what it is. And then here's description of what multi-vector assault mode does. Can't go super fast. Roll less defense dice, which doesn't make sense. You should roll more. Your ship's smaller. It was weird. It was a weird time. Prometheus I've seen run a fair bit. And that's the star of this pack. The Doctor, I think I can argue, has his place in missions. But ultimately, I think what we end up looking at is ships of the line. And we look at this Prometheus and we see little cheaper, same slots, totally different named ability. And we go, okay, get discounts on stuff. It's going to be a lot cheaper to run Prometheus. Is the named ability to go straight super important to you? Do an extra move? It can be. And in the right scenario, that is going to make a lot of difference. But those situations are few and far between, I think. Definitely has a place, though, and I like it. Just kind of up to you and the way that you play. So, that's wave. It was wave 15. I got this. Wave 15's U.S.S. Prometheus. Probably not something to go chase down in too much desperation. If you come across one for a good price, I'd say go get it. But other than that, I think it's one kind of best left to proxy play. Definitely bring this in because you already got a Prometheus. Just say, hey, I got the other named ability. But yeah, let's call it there. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, keep brushing up your game. Take care.